The Mummy franchise is rising from the tomb once again, and this time, horror masterly Cronin is in charge. If you loved the spine-chilling thrills of Evil Dead Rise, you're in for a treat. Let's dive into everything we know about this epic reboot, and why it might just resurrect the franchise in a way we've never seen before. The Mummy has been haunting cinema screens for nearly a century. It all began in 1932 with the original film, a black-and-white classic that introduced audiences to the terrifying idea of an ancient curse brought to life. But most of us remember the action-packed 1999 version starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. That movie had the perfect blend of adventure, humor, and horror, becoming an instant fan favorite. It gave us heart-racing action sequences, unforgettable characters, and even some genuinely creepy moments. The success of the 1999 film led to two sequels, The Mummy Returns in 2001 and The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor in 2008. Each film expanded on the lore, turning the franchise into a thrilling rollercoaster ride through ancient curses and epic battles. Then came 2017. Universal decided to reboot the franchise, taking a darker and more action-driven approach by casting none other than Tom Cruise. Hopes were high, but the film failed to capture the magic that made the earlier movies so beloved. Instead of focusing on suspense and horror, it leaned heavily into over-the-top action and world-building. It was meant to kick off a shared cinematic universe of monsters, but after its lackluster performance, that plan crumbled into dust. Now, the sands of time are shifting once again. Blumhouse, the studio behind modern horror hits like Paranormal Activity and The Invisible Man, is stepping in to revive The Mummy. Blumhouse has a knack for taking classic horror stories and giving them a fresh, terrifying twist. This time, they've tapped Lee Cronin to lead the charge, and that's where things get really exciting. Lee Cronin made waves with Evil Dead Rise, a film that turned a modest $12 million budget into a box office juggernaut, grossing nearly $150 million worldwide. Cronin's style is raw, intense, and unapologetically creepy. He knows how to build suspense, creating horror that seeps into your bones and lingers long after the credits roll. When asked about his vision for The Mummy, Cronin said he's digging deep into the earth to raise something very ancient and very frightening. That alone is enough to send shivers down your spine.
The release date is already set for April 17, 2026, giving Cronin plenty of time to craft a story that goes back to the franchise's roots while pushing the horror to new heights. What makes this reboot so intriguing is Cronin's promise to bring a fresh take. While past versions of The Mummy leaned into action and adventure, this one seems poised to embrace horror fully. Cronin has a talent for turning simple premises into unforgettable nightmares, and if his work on Evil Dead Rise is anything to go by, we're in for a terrifying ride. Blumhouse's involvement also adds a layer of excitement. They've built a reputation for producing high-quality horror with smaller budgets, focusing on strong storytelling and atmosphere rather than relying on massive CGI spectacles. The Invisible Man is a perfect example of this intense, psychological thriller that modernized a classic monster while staying true to its terrifying essence. If they can apply that same formula to The Mummy, we might finally get the horror-infused reboot fans have been craving. Another reason to be hopeful is the rich mythology surrounding mummies themselves. Ancient Egypt is filled with stories of curses, lost tombs, and vengeful spirits. There's so much untapped horror in those legends, and Cronin seems determined to bring that darkness to the screen. Imagine a story where the mummy isn't just a mindless creature but a force of ancient vengeance, slowly unraveling the lives of those who dare disturb its eternal slumber. The potential for genuine fear and suspense is limitless. Of course, there's always the risk that this reboot could fall into the same trap as the 2017 version, focusing too much on spectacle and forgetting the heart of the story. But with Cronin at the helm and Blumhouse backing him up, this feels different. There's a sense of purpose here, a desire to return to what made the original concept so terrifying in the first place. It's not just about action or adventure, it's about fear. The kind of fear that creeps up your spine when you realize you're not alone in the dark. So, will this new take on The Mummy finally do justice to the legend, or will it crumble under the weight of expectations like its predecessor? Only time will tell. One thing's for sure, horror fans should keep their eyes peeled. The sands are shifting, and something ancient is about to rise. Let me know in the comments what you think about this new reboot. Are you excited for a darker, scarier take on The Mummy? Or do you think some things are better left buried? Hit that like button if you love movie updates, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest film news. Until next time, stay curious and maybe avoid disturbing any ancient tombs.